So 10.2 part 2 page 4, Roman numeral 2 is where we are starting. Where we left off, if you didn't get all the way to the end of that video, we have watched the League of Nations pretty much do nothing. Small slaps on the wrist for Japan invading Manchuria, for Japan the raping of Nanking, for Hitler moving forward with the Rhineland. We have seen that the League of Nations is very weak. They are not doing anything. I didn't hear. What did you say, Jacob?
I said for Russia invading, you messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. For oops. Yeah. So really, the League of Nations showing its ineffectiveness at keeping that collective security. That was the title of part 1, the failure of collective security. We've seen also a really horrible thing happen. Mussolini had gone against Hitler in the Spanish Civil Wars, but now they are friends. Now they are friends in fascism, and we're going to see how that proceeds forward. All kinds of F's in that lecture. I was like, F, 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 F. Like, I think it was 5 in a row at one point there. If you remember from part 1, the Rhineland, that could have changed it all. Hitler has openly quoted later in his career that if France had done anything, any reaction against that, he would have pulled the troops out, would have retreated with their tail between their legs. And so this is they were very much weaker than France at this time. So by Britain being too pacifist and not standing with France allied, we're going to see that courage is a bad thing for Hitler. The more he gets, the more he's just like, let's do this. Let's go crazy. And so we're going to definitely follow that here because this part's titled Germany's Conquest. Really, you could cross out Germany and put Hitler. Hitler's conquest in Europe lead to World War II. We saw that Hitler is not minding. He is not behaving the Treaty of Versailles. Pretty much all the way back to 18. Wow, I'm really trying to go back in history. 1936. 1937, 1938, but especially 1938 here. And part of it was he promised the German people economic recovery. And when you're arming and when you are spurring forward business and you're taking on these new areas that have their economic situation is better, you're going to improve your economy. There are still some, if you talk to someone who's from Germany at this time period, they'd be like, you know, Hitler is just that Jew thing. Other than that, he was a great guy. Like if you were carrying a wheelbarrow full of 4.2 billion marks for a loaf of bread, and all of a sudden your economy's better and you're eating and people aren't, you might be like, that guy's not so bad. Just that one thing, you know. So we're going to see that the economy is going to recover because of Hitler's turn against the Treaty of Versailles, and he's not going to stop. He is going to say, now I want Austria, okay, because he was Austrian. He was born in Austria. He considers the Austrians Germans. They speak German. And so that, you know, aggressive nationalism, I want to take Austria. He knows the League of Nations isn't going to do anything. He now has Mussolini as a friend. And so he is going to pile on all of these threats of military action to the Austrian Chancellor in the March of 1938. And the Chancellor goes, okay, like, let's just let the Austrian people vote. You know, like Woodrow Wilson said, like, you know, you have the right to choose your leadership. That was in the 14 points. And he's going to say, let's just let the people vote. Well, Hitler doesn't want to vote. He doesn't want to chance or gamble or risk losing and then having to look like a villain because he's not going to stop when he does then go after Austria after the people say. And so Hitler says, don't hold an election or we will invade you. And he is quoted as saying, I will turn Vienna into the Spain of Austria. And so he's saying, I will turn you into Guernica. I will bomb you. I'll take the Luftwaffe. I've already tried it out. It went pretty well. And so don't hold that election. Yeah. Yeah. And so we're going to see that the Austrian Nazi Party will then assume control and request that Germany annex Austria. And so basically they're saying, come on in. So the Nazi Party of Austria is going to, you know, organize enough and then say, Hitler, come on, you know, we've got the stage set. Germany will march into and absorb Austria without firing a shot. And it's a joyful, you can see, here is the marching in, a joyful occasion, with people weeping tears of joy, because Hitler's got, he's like, from going from this crazy guy that people thought were crazy for a while, he's actually getting economic stuff done. Hitler's quoted for saying, "I was surprised at the joy they had." And so even it surprised him, the reception that he gets after the threats that he made. And so the League of Nations, again, we're going to see, does not step in, but really were they supposed to? Because it's not like these people weren't accepting them in, and the Treaty of Versailles had said that you get to determine your own rule, and if you were German speaking, shouldn't Germany be ruling you? So there's some gray area here on whether the League of Nations should have shot in or not. But the British Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, which we're going to talk about more in a second, is going to reject joining alliance with France and Russia, because he's going to say we can still be diplomatic and we can figure out all of this craziness that's going on. Neville Chamberlain, we're going to see in a minute, not too on. He doesn't. I don't think he's got a firm grasp of what's going on.
I mean, but, like, that is kind of like, frankly, that's the rational response.
Yeah. Well,
it's not like his response, like that's what.
I think, well, right now, but as he moves forward with what Hitler's, I'm just like, whoa. Yeah, the peace of our time as he gets off the airplane in a second, I'm like, wow, that guy just, yeah. So the international community did nothing in response to Hitler marching into Austria, because the League of Nations is like, did they want in there? We have some gray area here. So we have 6 million people added to the Reich now. Another 3 million Germans, however, lie in Czechoslovakia, or the Sudetenland. And so Hitler, pursuing on with this wanting to get all of the Germans under one occupation. We have 3 more sitting in the Sudetenland. And so his courage, even more as we move forward, he's going to then turn his attention to Czechoslovakia, or the Sudetenland, in 1938. He is still going on that self-determination. They're German, I'm German, we're the Reich, I should absorb them, they should get to choose who rules them. This is, let's see, turn my slide for you guys here. So this is Neville Chamberlain greeting Hitler. We're going to talk a lot more about Neville Chamberlain here as things move forward. But greeting Hitler, all friendly, happy. And then we have the Sudetenland here in this orangish color. Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, right here, Austria, Hungary, just to give you some concept of where we are on the map. So Hitler's going to demand that Germany receive German-speaking province in western Czechoslovakia, or else there would be war. We have the Austrians now who speak German. We just added 6 million people. I want the 3 million people that are in the Sudetenland. I want one piece at a time. He's like, come on, all I want is the German-speaking people. Like, that's not too big of a thing to ask. This is self-determination. And remember, some people are starting to feel kind of guilty that they put this Treaty of Versailles on Germany and think that Lebensraum should be deserved by them. If they need more room, let's give them more room. There's German people there already. So we kind of have all of this going on here. However, what's going to happen is Czechoslovakia, under this self-determination, is going to refuse. And it had well-defended borders along Germany and had France as an ally. And so Hitler's already put it out there. There will be war if not. And Czechoslovakia is refusing. So this would almost be what we thought. I mean, if you were standing there, this was the brink of World War II. It won't be, but many people see it. So what's going to happen is the Munich Conference of 1938 is going to prevent this world war. And so I give Chamberlain a lot of slack. But with the horrors of World War I still very fresh in your mind, I really do think that the position is let's do anything we can to prevent that. And so they have this Munich conference in 1938, and the issue of the Sudetenland was to be resolved in this conference and arranged by the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain. And so he is going to try to resolve this problem between Czechoslovakia and Hitler, and sit down and talk about it and come to an agreement. So the conference is attended by Germany, Britain, France, and Italy. Who's not there? The Czechs are not there, and who else is not there? Russia. So the Slavs are not there. Slavs are not there. And so right away you can see how well this is going to go for the Slavic peoples right here. Unfortunately, we haven't got to talk about a lot of times it's worked out well. So what Chamberlain is going to do is he's going to adopt a policy of appeasement. Appeasement is when you give in, kind of like give in to a force that's acting against you, making concessions to an aggressor in order to achieve peace. This is just part of that pacifism of Britain and France right now. Peace at any price. They do not want to go back into a World War I-ish area. The horrors of that are still very real. And so he takes a stance of appeasement. Like, maybe we just give him what he wants. He'll just stop. Like, he won't take any. Yeah. So appeasement. Bad thing is when you give in to an aggressor for the sake of peace, they see you as giving in, and it sets a bad example. It's kind of like when a little kid in the store is like bawling and throws himself on the floor because they want candy. And you've told them they can't have any candy, but then people are looking at you and you're like, oh my God, the kid's turning red. They're going to call somebody. And then you're like, give them candy. What are they going to do every time in the candy aisle then to get what they're going to do the same thing and expect the same result. They're going to expect you to give in. So future parenting lessons for you all. Do not give in the candy aisle. Anyway, so what is going to happen is Czechoslovakia is going to be forced to give away the Sudeten land. Hitler's like, all I want is peace. I just want all the German-speaking people. All I want is peace. And they're like, okay, we're going to give you Czechoslovakia, even though they don't want to be under your control. Germany, in return, guarantees or promises the independence of Czechoslovakia. And the Czechs are shocked that the fate of its country was decided by other countries without them present. They're like, okay, all right, so this self-determination thing goes both ways. Hitler says that he should get to self-determine, but we should get to self-determine, and you haven't even let us have a say. And so this is going to, put some tensions there. Hitler promised he would make no more territorial advancements or reaches or demands in Europe. And they tell Czechoslovakia if it refuses to comply, it would receive no military support from Britain or from France. And so they're like, yeah, pretty much there's no other way. So Czechoslovakia realizes that they know if they went to war, both of their allies are out now. And so they would lose to Hitler anyway at this point. So it's kind of a no-win situation. Chamberlain's going to return to Britain a hero, claiming he had achieved the peace of our time. He had just prevented a world war. Now, for his benefit, this would have started a world war if he had not stepped in with an appeasement policy for Hitler. But what it's really going to do is just delay. Here he is getting off the plane with the paper, the Munich Agreement right here in his hand, and proclaiming to the press, the peace of our time. But there's going to be a guy sitting off to the side by the name of Winston Churchill going on, no, I don't think so. That was a bad idea. Do not give Hitler any more things. Like, he's like, quit giving that kid candy. Like, that's Winston Churchill right now going, whoa. And we're going to get to him. But no one's listening to him right now. They're like, whatever, guy. Whatever. It's all things good. Yeah. We're still idealistic. Why be realistic, right? So, Germany, who had just promised that they wouldn't make any more demands on Europe territorially, invades the rest of Czechoslovakia in March of 1939. So, Hitler has double-crossed Chamberlain in less than a year since this peace of our time has been set. Czechoslovakia, who's like, whatever, peeps of Europe, like, we're just not even going to resist this. Nobody's on our side. We know what happened last time. You guys didn't see this coming. Whatever. They don't resist. And so in the space of a year, Hitler had taken both Austria and Czechoslovakia without engaging in war. There are no shots fired during any of this. England and France, however, are going to start to realize, like, Hitler is not going to be okay with one candy bar. He's going to want the whole aisle. Okay? And so they're starting to go, oh my gosh, this is bad. We've set a precedent of not doing anything. How do we go back now? Hitler obviously can't be appeased. By a side note here, with like all of this like self-determination and German people under German rule, Hitler will make the cover of Time magazine in 1939 as Man of the Year. No. Yes. Yep.
He may not have had good intentions, but he was very intelligent.
He was very driven. Yeah, I think he's a little crazy. He was definitely crazy, but driven, motivated,
Good to be managed.
That's true.
perseverance.
That's true.
It's just the most important
Yeah, but yeah,
Well,
I think it's a little ironic.
I mean, like, from a German perspective,
he was,
or from
yeah.
a perspective of not the country that won the war. I mean, he jump-started a failing economy.
Yeah.
Germany's only been like an actual country for like 40 years, right?
Oh yeah, and with the unification and the shortcomings of the Weimar Republic, he looks pretty grand. I mean, like I said, there are still German people like who lived during this time that think that they're just like, other than that one thing. I mean, things were good.
Like,
Yeah,
there's a legitimate
yeah.
argument to be
More
made
there.
that,
Yeah.
and in fact, it's probably correct that the borders of what is Germany at the time when he took over was completely arbitrary.
Yeah, go completely lines drawn on a map to punish
Right.
Germany from World War
There was
One. Yeah.
totally like, there were people who were like should have been Germans who weren't even German.
Exactly, and
So
why
he
joyful when they were
Totally
taken
had a
over.
legitimate point about getting them to be able to rejoin Germany.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say that he did. It's just, it's hard to then ignore what we know is coming.
All right.
So, Man of the Year 1 year before World War II breaks out. So, just kind of, I find that a little bit ironic. But Britain and France, in this moment, are going to start mobilizing their troops. They're not really so much scared of Hitler at this point. They're still stronger, but they're scared of more so of Stalin and the commies and what all of this mean, all of those other things we've talked about, and that they realize if Hitler's going to be able to do it for self-determination, what were Stalin and the commies wanting to spread communism across the world going to be able to do? But they're like, but also we're going to keep our eye on this guy. He might be a little bit of a problem too. And so having only promised to take a bite, this is a famous quote from this time period, Hitler swallows the whole thing. And that's in reference to Austria, Czechoslovakia at this time. Promising to only take a bite, he swallows the whole thing. And so Hitler is not going to stop there. He is going to start to make some other demands because there are still some Germans out there that need him to be over them. And so he is going to want to include all of these Germans in the Reich. And so after World War I, they had made this Polish corridor, and so Germany had been, remember that little piece that I'd shown you had kind of been drawn in on the map, this like kind of another little buffer area. Germany had been separated by Poland, and he's like, this should be part of Germany. So he's like, because he's just promised to not take any more, but there's still Germans out there who need me. So this is going to be where World War II starts. Okay, Germany's invasion of Poland is going to show the whole world that he is not ever going to be ready to stop. Okay, that this is going to go past that. So only 1 week after taking Czechoslovakia and promising that he would not take any more, Hitler demanded the Baltic port city of Danzig, located on the Polish corridor that separated East Prussia from Germany. As he had done with the Sudetenland, Hitler used the alleged poor treatment of ethnic Germans in Poland as a pretext for his demand. I have to afraid that they have been treated poorly by people that don't understand them or are not German, and so he's going to use this as a reasoning. I'm here to free them. And finally, Chamberlain is going to threaten that if Germany attacked Poland, Britain would fight a war to protect Poland. And what's Hitler probably thinking? Yeah, right. You have not done anything yet. And he is really courageous at this point. Like almost like caution to the wind courageous at this point.
Was he expecting to keep on poking and to, like he surely realizes that eventually he's going to start a war? Is he?
I don't know. I really think that he is so focused on the self-determination and the German nationalism part that he really thinks he can get away with it at this point.
He doesn't have one advisor going,
Oh, his advisors were freaking out. I mean, from the Rhineland thing, they were freaking out from then. But he's proven, I mean, now they're kind of gaining some trust in him because he's proven, and he's done all this with no shots fired. He looks crazy cool right now to a lot of people. Like, wow, we just got all of this with not one death. But his advisors, are like, hey, stop. stop. Yeah, the next candy bar might just be too much. Like, yeah, they're so yeah, I would say that. But he gets really driven and courageous. Definitely a part of his personality at this point. And so Hitler is going to,
Yeah.
at this point, just in case, seek to avoid a two-front war, kind of like Mr. OVB had done for so long, Mr. Bismarck. And so he's going to say, well, just in case the British finally decide that they're ever going to do something, I definitely don't want to fight a two-front war. And so he's going to turn his attention to what should have been one of his most hated enemies, because the commies and Stalin and fascists do not get along. Like, I would never want to be in a room with a fascist and a communist. Like, exit vous, s'il vous plaît. Like, no, out the window. And so we're gonna out,
French
gone.
good, much French.
I mean, I'm not afraid to say I would run like a Frenchman in that circumstance. Totally. So Hitler's people are going to approach the Soviets to make a deal. This isn't Hitler as much personally, but there's some really awesome, like, oh, I could go on for days with political cartoons of this event, and I have a couple of them up here. They are just awesome. Yes.
World War II had the best political.
Oh my gosh, right? Yes.
Like, they were so much fun.
I know. So this becomes the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact. This is also sometimes called the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact or the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. It's known by three names. That's just totally, I know, horrible. But so it's either known as the German-Soviet by the two nations, or as the Nazi-Soviet, or by the two guys who got it done, Molotov and Ribbentrop Pact.
Was Trotsky done at this point?
Was Trotsky? Yes.
So Stalin has complete control of the USSR.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He's done with his power struggle.
Yes. Oh, the Molotov, like Molotov cocktail, and Ribbentrop with a P at the end. So August 1939, these two guys get together to represent each of German and the Soviet Union. And Hitler's really seeking assurance that Russia would not attack Germany if he invaded Poland. Okay, like he's like, yeah, they said they might do something just in case. I'm not going to a two-front war. He saw how that worked out in World War I. We've always said he's not an unintelligent person, just a little crazy. A guarantee of non-aggression would ensure that Germany would only have to fight a one-front war against France and Britain, and the world is going to be shocked that the arch enemies, Hitler and Stalin, would make such an agreement. Why? Because commies hate fascists and fascists hate commies. That's just, I mean, it's not like that was a hidden thing. But this is like one of those realpolitik moments. Like we talked about realpolitik. This is like, I can hate you. I will still hate you. If you see up here, like they're both strolling down, this is something for a walk. And they both have their guns behind their backs, pointed at each other. Like, this is just a realpolitik moment. This is going to serve us both, okay? Yeah, the wedding picture? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like my favorite one.
Although they're both cooked out there.
I'm just like, that's great. And then this is like France down here dead. So there are public provisions and private provisions. So there is some things that the whole world gets to know, and there are some that are kept between Stalin and Hitler and their guys. So first, the public provisions of the treaty. It's a 10-year non-aggression pact. So a circle, star, 10 years. I'm sure that you guys remember from World and from U.S. that it is not going to last 10 years. 10-year non-aggression pact. So this is what the public gets to see. The private agreement, or a better word for this, secret agreement, is that Germany and the USSR would invade Poland and split the country. So it's like halfsies. Like, if you help me out, you can have half of the candy bar. Like, here you go. So this is the private agreement. The rest of the world does not know this. Stalin would also get the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And France and Britain had offered Stalin military risk without gain. Hitler had offered Stalin territorial gain without risk. So which side would he have taken? Whether he hates fascists or not, he's going to take the more beneficial side. It's just an equation here. It wasn't hard for him to decide. And so World War II is about to start, and we're going to see that at first it is not a two-front war, although it's Spoiler alert, that's going to change. But Germany is going to invade Poland on September 1st, 1939. And it will mark the beginning of World War II because Stalin and Hitler are willing to lay some of their isms aside, some of the things that we've talked about, for power and strength with this non-aggression pact. And it's going to allow Hitler to have the courage to continue on. And then on September 3rd, Britain and France will declare war on Germany, and we will come back to that with Germany's conquests and the type of war that they're going to launch. So, homework for next time. You need to come in with your storyboards laid out for John. You have the end of this packet, 10.2 part 3. But since we will have Ragtag here the whole next time, you really just need to make sure that it's watched by Wednesday-ish. And then you will have 10.3 packet to go into after we leave here Wednesday. Looking for in the future, 10.4 and the practice exam is your weekend work. And then we are totally done with content materials. We will spend time in class reviewing, and then we'll get into our comprehensive exam and timed writings. So we are very near the end. This video shouldn't be any longer than 30 minutes, but the main thing is for class you need to have your storyboard done. Wednesday-ish, you need to have 10.2 part 3 done so that you're ready to move on to unit 10.3. Okay? If you have any questions, concerns, or problems, please let me know via Edmodo. If you were absent for any reason, I know this is a busy time of year for you guys, I will send you stuff individually on Edmodo. So any questions, concerns, issues, problems, happy thoughts?